You ever felt that way? Have you ever felt like somebody ought to come off the street and be like us? Come in here and be like us. Oh, we will accept you. You will feel safe here. You will feel, as long as you're like us. As long as you dress like us. Do the same kind of jobs we do. Talk like us and keep the same schedules. We'll accept you. It'll be great. We'll teach you to be like us. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever come across that parable Jesus told? The parable of the workers in the vineyard. You know, where the owner of the vineyard went out and said, man, I need some people. So he went out at 9 o'clock in the morning. He went out at 6 actually and hired some people and said, I'll pay you. Went out at 9, got some more and said, I'll pay you. Went out at 12. Found some more people, said, go work in my vineyard, I'll pay you. Found some people at 3 in the afternoon. Hired them. Found people at 5 o'clock. 1 hour, they work 1 hour. And then he lines up to pay them. And he pays the people who work 1 hour a day's wage. And he pays the people that work at 3 o'clock for what, 3 hours. It pays them a day's wage. And he gets down to the people who he hired at sunrise, and he pays them a day's wage. And you remember how angry they were? Did you ever struggle with that parable? We bore the heat of the day. I had to learn to dress to go to church when I was this high. I had to do all that time. I had to miss all those shows and all those games. I had to miss all those weekends. And now you come in and you think that you're on the same level. No way. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to control your behavior. I'm going to teach you to be like me. What's going on in Romans? Let's go to Romans chapter 2. Verse 17. Now, if you call yourself a Jew, if you rely on the law and brag about your relationship with God, if you know His will and approve of what is superior because you are instructed by the law, if you are convinced that you are a guide for the blind, a light for those who are in the dark, an instructor of infants, or instructor of the foolish, a teacher of infants, because you have in the law the embodiment of knowledge and truth. Do you feel that way? Do you think they felt that way? It's on the front of your bulletin. The law. The law. The law that we think of as the law as Christians, and that the top 10. There were a lot more than the top 10. Matter of fact, there were hundreds and hundreds of do's and don'ts, and how to do this, and when to do this, and when to do that. And they thought that embodied the knowledge of what God wanted them to do. And they were going to be a light to the world, instructors to the blind. They were going to teach these infant people. He's foolish because we have the law. He says, you then who teach others, do you not teach yourself? You who preach against stealing, do you steal? You who say that people should not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? Let's just stop right there. There's 2 of the top 10, right? Stealing and adultery? He says, you know that. You teach that. Do you do it? Do you do it? Jesus said, I know it says don't commit adultery, but I tell you what, if anybody has lusted, they've committed adultery in their heart. So how many people here have committed adultery? Yeah. Yeah. Do we teach against committing adultery? Yeah, we do. It says, you who abhor idols, do you rob temples? You who brag about the law, do you dishonor God by breaking the law? Yes, 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 you do. As it is written, God's name is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you. Circumcision has value if you observe the law. But if you break the law, you become as though you had not been circumcised. If those who are not circumcised keep the law's requirements, they will not be regarded as though they were Will they not be regarded as though they were circumcised? The one who is not circumcised physically and yet obeys the law will condemn you who, even though you have read the written code in circumcision, are lawbreakers. A man is not a Jew if he is one outwardly, nor is circumcision merely outward and physical. No, a man is a Jew if he is one inwardly, and circumcision is circumcision of the heart, by the Spirit, and not by the written code. Such a man's praise is not from men, but from God. Okay. Did you get what he just did? Yeah, you had the law. That's great. You broke it. Yeah, you know some things about morals, and you don't keep them. What is it that makes you superior? What makes you a teacher? What makes you a guide? Did you know that you had the law? Is that it? Did they become Christians in order that they can finally keep the law? Is that what it's about? Is it now Gentiles can become Jews? They can be circumcised? Oh joy. That's a big thing to ask somebody. So they could keep the law and look like you? Okay. You know what they missed? They missed the fact that they don't keep the law. Yeah, you know about the law, but you don't keep it. And so we in this audience going, why can't they try a little harder? Why can't you just give them another chance? Or why don't we make the law a little bit easier to understand? And then maybe they can, or maybe we can drop some rules out of the law. And no. The point is, you got the law and you broke it. Does that make you any superior to people who've never had the law of Moses? No. 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 The righteousness God talks about is not in keeping the law. It is by faith, trusting. From first to last, it's from trusting. And if you ever get tempted into saying, okay, now that we've got this far, we can live by the law, and isn't it great? And we can be a light to the nations by showing them how great we are and how moral people we are. If only people could be like us, the world would be such a nice place, wouldn't it? You've missed it. You've missed it. Let's go back to chapter 2. We haven't finished. We started in the middle. I don't know if you noticed that. I noticed. Chapter 2, verse 1. You therefore have no excuse. You who pass judgment on someone else for whatever point you judge the other, you are condemning yourself, because you who pass judgment do the same things. Now we know that God's judgment against those who do such things is based on truth. So when you, a mere man, pass judgment on them and yet do the same thing, do you think you will escape God's judgment? Or do you show contempt for the riches of His kindness, tolerance, and patience, not realizing that God's kindness should lead you to repentance? But because of your stubbornness and your unrepentant hearts, you are storing up wrath